Chapter 1, The Permission You Never Needed. There comes a moment in every life where something clicks. It might be subtle, it might feel like a whisper, but it's there. It says, "This isn't working anymore." It's not about failure, it's not about regret. It's simply the moment where your soul becomes louder than your habits. You look around at your life and realize that you've been trying to live by rules you never agreed to, expectations passed down from family, culture, school, social media, a checklist of how life should look, and suddenly, you start asking the question that changes everything: what if I don't want to live like this anymore? It's a powerful question, because once you ask it, you can't unask it. You start noticing how much of your life was built around pleasing, performing, and proving. You start realizing how much of your energy went into being who they wanted, instead of who you are. This book is not about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you are underneath the noise, and most importantly, it's about giving yourself permission to live a life that actually feels like yours, not one that just looks good on paper, not one that impresses strangers, but one that makes sense to your heart, to your pace, to your spirit. You don't need to explain your peace to anyone. You don't need to defend your healing. You don't need to earn the right to be free. You are allowed to change. You are allowed to choose. You are allowed to rewrite the rules. And the first new rule is this: your life belongs to you, not to your past, not to your guilt, not to your fear, not to their expectations, just you. This is your permission slip. Not that you ever needed one, but if you've been waiting for someone to hand you one, here it is. You're free to walk away from what no longer fits, free to redefine what success looks like, free to create peace, even if no one understands it but you. You don't have to keep explaining why you're different now. Growth doesn't always make sense to people who are committed to staying the same. So take a deep breath. You're not behind. You're not broken. You're not late. You're right on time for the life that's waiting for you to finally choose it. Your life, your rules, and this is just the beginning. Chapter 2, Rewrite the Old Story. Everyone carries a story. Some parts were written for you before you could speak. The rules, the roles, the quiet messages that told you what was acceptable and what was not. Be the good one. Don't speak too loudly. Stay small so others feel comfortable. Don't ask for too much. Don't be difficult. Be grateful. Even when you're hurting, be nice. Even when it breaks you. You may not have heard those words out loud, but you felt them. You shaped yourself around them. You carried them like invisible instructions, and over time, they became a story. One you didn't mean to agree to. One that said, "This is who you are. This is how you're allowed to live. These are the limits of your joy. These are the borders of your worth." But what if that story was never really yours? What if the fear wasn't yours, but inherited? What if the silence wasn't your nature, but your survival? What if the shame was never about you at all? You have the right to look at that story now, to examine it, to question it, to gently ask, does this still fit the person I am becoming? Because you are allowed to update the narrative. You are allowed to put the pen back in your own hand and say, I'm ready to write a new chapter. Maybe your old story said you always need to be strong. Maybe your old story said love must be earned. Maybe your old story said your voice doesn't matter. But here is the truth. You are allowed to need support. You are worthy of love without conditions. Your voice has always mattered even when it was ignored. This is what healing really is. Not erasing the past, not pretending it didn't hurt, but finally seeing it clearly, and choosing to grow beyond it. You do not have to stay inside the identity you built for protection. You do not have to keep proving your worth through pain. You do not have to make yourself smaller so someone else feels bigger. The old story may have helped you survive, but now, survival isn't the goal. Living is. So what if you allowed yourself to be new? What if you didn't need to apologize for evolving? What if you stopped waiting for permission to become the version of you that feels true? That version already exists. She's just been waiting for you to stop hiding, and maybe today, you begin again, not with a grand announcement, not with a perfect plan, but with a quiet decision. The old story ends here. From this page forward, I write my own. Chapter 3. The noise isn't yours. Most of us are living with too much noise, not just the kind that comes from outside phones buzzing, news flashing, people talking, but the kind that settles deep inside, the noise of expectation, the noise of comparison, the noise of doubt, fear, guilt, and pressure, the noise that tells you who you should be and how you should live. You hear it even when the room is silent, that little voice that says you're falling behind, that you should be more by now, that someone else is doing it better, faster, louder, that you'll never catch up. But let's pause for a moment. What if that noise isn't actually yours? What if it was picked up somewhere along the way, from teachers who only saw your mistakes, from parents who didn't know how to love out loud, from friends who outgrew you or never truly knew you, from a society that profits when you feel not enough? When you were younger, you didn't know how to filter the noise. You absorbed it, you believed it, you let it shape how you saw yourself. But now you're older, you're wiser, and you have a choice. You can keep letting that noise direct your life, or you can begin to separate it from your truth. This is not about blaming anyone. It's about reclaiming clarity. About holding up every belief and asking, is this mine? Is this pressure actually mine? Is this goal something I want? Is this dream really mine? Or did someone hand it to me? Is this shame coming from something I did or just something I was taught to feel guilty about? When you get quiet enough, you'll notice the difference. The noise shouts, the truth whispers. The noise makes you feel smaller, the truth reminds you of your power. The noise is urgent, restless, critical. The truth is calm, steady, present. And here's what's most important. You do not owe your life to the noise. You do not have to follow every rule someone else handed you. You do not have to match the pace of people running in a direction you don't want to go. You do not have to justify your peace, your rest, your quiet choices. You get to turn down the volume. You get to choose silence over urgency. You get to listen to your own voice again. And when you do, you'll find something that was never really gone. Your intuition, your knowing, your ability to hear yourself think. Because deep down, under the noise, you already know what matters. You already know what feels good to your nervous system. You already know what kind of life would feel like home. You've just been too surrounded by noise to hear it clearly. So take a breath, step back, turn inward. You are not falling behind. You are not too late. You are not broken or scattered or lost. You are just learning to listen to yourself again. And that is where everything begins to change. Chapter 4. Let it be simple. We live in a world that worships complexity. Everything has to be optimized, improved, upgraded, and accelerated. Rest must be earned. Success must be dramatic. Healing must be a long and complicated journey. But what if it doesn't have to be that way? What if peace is simple? What if clarity is quiet? What if the path forward is softer than you think? We are taught that doing more makes us more valuable, that being busy means being important, that if something feels easeful, it must not be serious or strong, so we make things harder than they need to be. We overthink, we overcommit, we wait until life becomes overwhelming before we allow ourselves to slow down. But here's the truth. Life is not meant to feel like a constant test. Growth doesn't have to hurt to be real. Love doesn't have to be earned through suffering. Discipline doesn't have to come from shame. Healing doesn't have to be dramatic to be valid. You are allowed to choose the simpler path. You can let go without burning bridges. You can rest without justifying it. You can say no without offering a list of reasons. You can make a new decision without over-explaining the old one. You can live gently and still be powerful. Simplicity is not laziness. It is clarity. It is a return to what actually matters. Take a look at your daily life. Where are you making it harder than it needs to be? Are you filling your schedule with things that don't bring you peace? Are you chasing goals you don't even want? Are you clinging to relationships out of habit instead of love? Are you forcing yourself to perform when your soul just wants to breathe? What if you paused? What if you stripped it all back? Not everything, just enough to see clearly again. Maybe it's not about doing more. Maybe it's about doing less with more presence. Maybe you don't need a 5-year plan right now. Maybe you just need a quiet morning. Maybe you don't need 100 solutions. Maybe you just need to let one thing go. The next version of you might not be louder or faster. They might be softer, kinder, more honest, more still. And that doesn't make you any less powerful. It makes you rooted, aligned, free. You are allowed to let things be simple. The decisions, the relationships, the healing, the joy. You don't have to make it harder in order to feel worthy of it. You already are. So breathe, and ask yourself, where can I choose ease today? Where can I stop forcing? Where can I let something unfold instead of control it? Where can I honor myself by stepping away from the noise? Let it be simple, let it be light, let it be real. That's enough. That's more than enough. Chapter 5. Stop apologizing for changing. At some point, you will outgrow the version of yourself that others got used to, and when that happens, you will feel a quiet conflict. Part of you wants to rise, part of you wants to stay small so no one feels uncomfortable, because change makes people nervous. When you evolve, it disrupts the balance. The people around you may not say it, but some of them liked you better when you were easier to define, when you said yes more, when you didn't ask for space, when you accepted what was offered, when you stayed in your lane. But the truth is, you were never meant to stay the same. You are here to change, to expand, to soften where you were hard, to speak where you were silent, to stand where you once shrank, and you do not need to apologize for that. You do not need to apologize for healing. You do not need to apologize for finally setting boundaries. You do not need to apologize for becoming more honest, even if that honesty is inconvenient. You do not need to apologize for leaving environments that made you feel small. It is okay to change your mind. It is okay to say, this no longer fits. It is okay to grow past the version of you that kept everyone else comfortable. You are not selfish for wanting peace. You are not dramatic for needing distance. You are not wrong for making choices that others do not understand. You are just finally listening to yourself. And no, not everyone will like it. Some people will take your growth personally. Some will try to pull you back into the old pattern. Some will call you distant or different or too much. Let them. Your job is not to convince anyone to understand your evolution. Your job is to stay faithful to what you know in your gut is true. You've been quiet long enough. You've tried to keep the peace long enough. You've edited yourself long enough. This is not rebellion. This is return. You're not becoming someone else. You are becoming who you were before the world told you to shrink. And yes, it will feel uncomfortable at first. You'll want to apologize. You'll want to over-explain. You'll feel tempted to go back. But don't. You're not here to be the version of yourself that everyone approves of. You're here to be real. You're here to be full. You're here to be honest with your own heart. Growth is not betrayal. Healing is not selfish. Honoring your needs is not wrong. It's time to stop apologizing for becoming who you really are. Let them adjust, or let them go. You are not changing to hurt anyone. You are changing because you finally love yourself enough to stop staying small. And that is something to be proud of. Chapter 6. You don't need to prove anything. There is a quiet pressure that follows many people through life. A feeling that you are being watched, measured, graded, compared. You might not even notice it at first. It becomes part of the way you move, the way you speak, the way you say yes even when you want to say no, the way you explain your choices before anyone asks, the way you try to always appear calm, collected, successful. You feel like you need to prove that you are strong, that you are good enough, that you are capable, that you are valuable, that you belong. This pressure doesn't always come from outside. Sometimes it comes from deep within, from the version of you that once felt overlooked, From the younger you who was misunderstood, from the part of you that learned approval equals safety. But you are not that person anymore. You are allowed to stop proving. You do not have to prove your worth by always working harder than everyone else. You do not have to prove your strength by never breaking down. You do not have to prove your value by being endlessly useful. You do not have to prove your goodness by never disappointing anyone. You already are enough, even if you don't feel it all the time, even if you've spent most of your life chasing that feeling. You are not here to convince people to believe in you. You are here to believe in yourself. That means letting go of the performance, letting go of the need to always have the answers, letting go of the fear that if you stop trying so hard, you'll be forgotten or left behind. You are not a project to fix. You are not a brand to promote. You are not an image to maintain. You are a human being. You are allowed to breathe. You are allowed to rest. You are allowed to have a quiet life. You are allowed to take up space without explaining why you deserve to be here. You don't need a perfect story. You don't need a list of achievements. You don't need to be impressive to be important. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do is simply exist in your truth, without defending it. Walk your path. Even if no one claps, stand in your values. Even if no one notices, keep showing up for yourself, even when it's quiet. The life you're building does not need to be loud to be real. The peace you're finding does not need an audience to be valuable. The real reward is not in being seen. The real reward is in being free. You have nothing to prove. You never did. Chapter 7. Rest is not laziness. We live in a world that celebrates exhaustion. Pushing through is seen as strength. Burnout is worn like a badge of honor. Rest is treated like something you earn only after everything else is done. So it makes sense if you feel guilty when you stop. It makes sense if your body is tired but your mind keeps saying, keep going. It makes sense if you've confused rest with laziness, because that's what many of us were taught. Sit still and someone will call you unmotivated. Take a break and someone will say you are falling behind. Slow down and someone will assume you've given up. But here is the truth. Rest is not a weakness. It is a return to balance, to breath, to your body, to your inner voice. When you rest, you give yourself space to heal, to reflect, to remember what matters, to feel instead of numb, to pause before reacting, to care for yourself before the world demands more. You are not a machine. You were not built to produce endlessly. You were built to feel, to notice, to connect. And none of that happens when you are constantly running on empty. The kind of rest you need might not be physical. Sometimes it's mental, emotional, spiritual. You might need to rest from constantly trying to be enough. You might need to rest from pretending everything is fine. You might need to rest from holding the weight of everyone else's needs. You are allowed to stop. You are allowed to take a day with no goal other than peace. You are allowed to protect your energy without guilt. You are allowed to be still. Rest is an act of self-respect. It is how you say to yourself, I matter too. It is how you remind your nervous system that you are safe now. It is how you break the cycle of always needing to prove your worth through doing. The world will keep spinning. The to-do list will still be there tomorrow. But your body and your mind need you today. You are not lazy for listening to your limits. You are wise. You are not falling behind. You are learning to move at the pace of your own life. You are not selfish for choosing stillness. You are honoring something deeper. Rest is not quitting. Rest is how you stay alive inside the life you are building. Let it be part of your rhythm, not your reward. You deserve it now, not later. Now. Chapter 8. You are allowed to want more. There comes a moment when the life you've built no longer feels like enough. Not because you're ungrateful, not because you're spoiled, but because something deep within you begins to stir. A quiet voice that says, this isn't the whole picture. And at first, you might ignore it. You'll tell yourself to be content. You'll look around at what you have and feel guilty for wanting more. You'll remind yourself that others have less. You'll worry that your desire is selfish, or unrealistic, or foolish. But here is the truth. Wanting more does not mean you don't appreciate what you have. It means you are growing. It means your soul is asking for expansion. It means you are no longer willing to shrink to make others comfortable. You are allowed to want more peace, more joy, more meaning, more love, more ease, more time for yourself, more alignment with who you really are. You are allowed to want a different kind of success, not louder, not flashier, but truer. You are allowed to want work that doesn't exhaust your spirit. You are allowed to want relationships that feel safe and energizing. You are allowed to want mornings that begin gently and nights that end with stillness. This isn't about greed, it's about truth. When you deny your desires, you disconnect from yourself. You silence the part of you that knows what is possible. You tell yourself that comfort is the highest goal. You teach yourself to settle. But you were not made to settle. You were not made to just survive your days. You were not made to build a life that looks good but feels empty. You were made to feel alive, to stretch into your full capacity, to wake up with energy, not dread, to move through life knowing it reflects your values, your voice, your choices. Wanting more does not mean you reject what is. It means you are ready to grow beyond it. It means you are listening to your inner wisdom. It means you trust yourself enough to imagine something new. So let yourself want. Let yourself dream without editing. Let yourself outgrow what no longer fits. Let yourself change your mind. Shift your goals. Start again. You are not too much. You are not unreasonable. You are not ungrateful. You are simply awakening to your own potential. The version of you that wants more is not the problem. It is the beginning of your next chapter. Chapter 9. You deserve to feel safe in your own life. You deserve to feel safe in your own life. Not just physically, not just externally, but emotionally, mentally, deep in your nervous system. You deserve to wake up without dread, to move through your day without constantly bracing for impact, to speak without fear of being misunderstood or dismissed, to rest without guilt, to exist without performing. For many people, safety has never been a guarantee. Maybe you grew up in chaos. Maybe you lived in survival mode for years. Maybe you never felt like your needs mattered. Maybe love came with conditions, or silence was rewarded more than honesty. So now, even in moments of peace, you feel restless. Even when nothing is wrong, your body stays alert. Even when people are kind, you wonder how long it will last. Even when you try to relax, something inside stays tense. This is not your fault. It is not weakness. It is not something to be ashamed of. It is your body doing what it had to do to protect you. But now, you are in a different place. You are no longer powerless. You are no longer stuck. You are no longer the version of you who had to tolerate everything just to survive. You are allowed to create a life that feels safe. You are allowed to choose softness over struggle. You are allowed to surround yourself with people who speak gently and treat you with care. You are allowed to slow down and ask, what does safety feel like for me? Maybe it looks like having clear boundaries. Maybe it looks like letting go of relationships that leave you anxious. Maybe it means saying no more often. Maybe it means choosing quiet instead of chaos. Maybe it means trusting your own voice again. Safety is not a luxury. It is not a reward for being perfect. It is a basic need. And you deserve it. You deserve to be around people who do not make you question your worth. You deserve to have space where you can exhale. You deserve to feel like you belong in your own story. You do not have to earn it by suffering. You do not have to keep proving you're strong enough to go without it. You do not have to explain why you're tired, or triggered, or tender. You can simply decide, I want peace, I want softness, I want a life that feels like calm, not constant correction, and I will build that life, no matter how long it takes. You deserve to feel safe, safe in your body, safe in your choices, safe in your home, safe in your relationships, safe in your mind, safe in your future, not later, not someday, now. Chapter 10. Creating a life that feels like you. You've spent a long time trying to fit into places that were never built for you, trying to match someone else's idea of success, trying to live up to expectations you never agreed to, trying to be who you thought you were supposed to be, and somewhere along the way, you lost connection to something important, your own vision, your own rhythm, your own definition of what a meaningful life looks like. It's easy to get caught up in the outside world, the timelines, the comparisons, the voices telling you to move faster, do more, be better. But none of that will matter if the life you build doesn't feel true to who you are. So let's ask something simple. What would your life look like if it actually felt like you? Not just looked impressive from the outside, not just checked off someone else's list, but felt honest, peaceful, rooted, alive. What would your mornings feel like? What kind of people would be around you? What work would fill your time? What kind of energy would you bring into your own space? What kind of boundaries would you set? What would stay and what would need to go? This is not about achieving some perfect lifestyle. This is about building something that reflects your values, something that makes sense to your heart, not just your resume. A life that feels like you might be quiet. It might be full of creativity. It might have space for rest, play, connection, solitude. It might not follow a traditional path. It might be full of small joys rather than constant achievement. Whatever it is, you get to decide. You get to create your own pace. You get to define success for yourself. You get to choose what you focus on, what you care about, and what you no longer carry. This kind of life is not built overnight. It's created slowly, choice by choice, moment by moment, boundary by boundary. It requires honesty. It requires courage. It requires letting go of what no longer fits, even if it once made sense. And it begins when you stop asking for permission to be yourself. You don't need to be understood by everyone. You don't need to prove your worth through endless effort. You don't need to follow a path that someone else walked. You get to build something that makes you feel at home in your own body, in your own mind, in your own heart, a life that feels like you. That is the goal, and every small, brave decision you make is a step closer to it. Chapter 11. When peace becomes the priority. For so long, you may have chased success, approval, or achievement. You may have measured your worth by how much you could do, how many people you could please, or how high you could climb. But there comes a point when those things stop feeling like enough, when they leave you tired, disconnected, or restless. That is when peace becomes the priority. Not peace as a distant dream or a rare vacation, but peace as a daily practice. Peace as a foundation. Peace as a way of being. Choosing peace means making different decisions. Choosing peace means saying no to things that drain you. Choosing peace means protecting your energy like it is sacred. Choosing peace means learning to listen to your body, your heart, and your mind. It might look like slowing down your schedule. It might look like letting go of relationships that bring drama or anxiety. It might look like creating quiet moments in your day to just be. It might look like setting boundaries even when it feels uncomfortable. It might look like forgiving yourself for mistakes and letting go of guilt. Peace is not passive. It is not weakness. It is not giving up. Peace is strength. It is clarity. It is freedom. When you prioritize peace, you are choosing yourself. You are choosing your well-being over external expectations. You are choosing a life that feels aligned with your true self. It will not always be easy. Old habits, voices, and pressures will pull you back. But each time you choose peace, you build a new muscle, a muscle that helps you stand firm in your truth. Peace becomes a place you return to, a home you create inside yourself. And once peace is your priority, everything else begins to fall into place in a way that feels right to you. You will find that your decisions come with less struggle, your relationships become clearer, your energy feels fuller, your days become more meaningful. Peace is not a reward for hard work. It is a birthright, a simple truth that you are allowed to live fully, freely, and gently. So today, and every day, remind yourself that peace is the most powerful rule you can live by. Chapter 12. The power of saying no. Saying no is one of the simplest yet most powerful tools you have. It might feel uncomfortable at first. You might worry about disappointing others or causing conflict. You might feel guilty or selfish. But saying no is not about hurting people. It is about protecting yourself. It is about honoring your limits and values. It is about creating space for what truly matters. Every time you say yes to something that drains you or doesn't align with your heart, you say no to yourself, no to your energy, no to your peace, no to your growth. Saying no is how you take back control of your life. It is how you set boundaries that keep you safe and whole. It is how you show yourself respect. You don't owe explanations or apologies for your number. Your no can be simple and kind. It can be firm and gentle. It can be a statement of self-care. When you say no, you give yourself the chance to say yes to the things that light you up. Yes to rest. Yes to creativity. Yes to joy. Yes to relationships that nourish you. Learning to say no is a practice. It gets easier each time you do it. You start to notice how much better you feel when your yes is authentic and not forced. Remember this: your no is a gift to yourself and to others. It creates clarity and honesty. It invites respect and trust. You are not responsible for how others react to your number. You are responsible for how you treat yourself. So start small. Practice saying no to things that don't serve you. Watch how your life begins to shift. Saying no is your way of saying yes to your own life, your own rules, your own peace. Chapter 13. Boundaries are acts of love. Boundaries are often misunderstood. Some think they are walls built to keep people out. Others see them as selfish barriers. They separate us from connection. But boundaries are none of these things. Boundaries are acts of love, love for yourself and love for others. They are clear lines you draw to protect your energy, your time, and your peace. They show others how you want to be treated. They create space for healthy relationships and honest communication. Without boundaries, you may find yourself overwhelmed, resentful, or drained. You may say yes when you want to say no. You may give more than you have. You may lose sight of what you truly need. Setting boundaries is not about pushing people away. It is about inviting respect and care. It is about being honest about your limits and values. It is about creating safety for yourself so you can show up fully for others. Boundaries can be physical, emotional, or mental. They can be about time, energy, or personal space. They can be spoken or unspoken, but they always need to be honored. It can feel uncomfortable to set boundaries at first. You might worry about rejection or conflict. You might fear disappointing someone you care about. But remember this: you cannot pour from an empty cup. Taking care of yourself allows you to give more authentically. When you respect your boundaries, you teach others how to respect you. You create relationships that are balanced and nurturing. You protect your well-being without guilt or apology. Love does not mean sacrificing your needs. Love means caring enough to say what you need clearly and kindly. Love means choosing connection without losing yourself. So start today. Notice where you feel stretched too thin or uncomfortable. Ask yourself what boundaries you need to feel safe and whole. Practice expressing them with compassion and honesty. Boundaries are not selfish. They are self-respect. They are love in action. And they are the foundation of a life that truly belongs to you. Chapter 14. Embracing imperfection. Perfection is a story many of us have been told to chase. It promises safety and approval, but it is also a cage. Trying to be perfect can keep you stuck waiting for the right moment, afraid to make mistakes, hiding parts of yourself you think are flawed. But here is the truth: imperfection is what makes you human. It is what makes your story real and relatable. It is where growth and learning live. Embracing imperfection means giving yourself grace, allowing yourself to be messy and still worthy, making decisions even when you don't have all the answers, speaking your truth even when it feels vulnerable. When you stop trying to be perfect to free yourself to be authentic, you open the door to creativity. You invite connection that is deeper and more honest. Mistakes are not failures, they are part of the journey. They teach you what works and what doesn't. They build resilience and courage. So stop waiting to be perfect before you start living. Stop hiding who you really are because you fear judgment. Start showing up as your whole self, flaws and all. You are enough exactly as you are, and the world needs your imperfect light. Chapter 15. Trusting your intuition. Your intuition is your inner compass, a quiet knowing that guides you beyond logic and fear. It often speaks in whispers rather than shouts, but its messages are powerful and true. Many people learn to ignore their intuition. They doubt it because it doesn't always make sense right away. They listen to outside voices instead of their own. They second-guess their feelings and instincts. But intuition is one of the most reliable guides you have. It helps you sense what feels right or wrong even before your mind can explain why. It connects you to your deeper self and your values. Learning to trust your intuition takes practice. It means paying attention to your feelings and bodily sensations. It means slowing down enough to hear that quiet voice inside. It means acting on what feels true even when it feels scary or uncertain. Trusting your intuition doesn't mean you will always be perfect. It means you will be honest with yourself. You will learn from your experiences. You will grow stronger with each decision. When you listen to your intuition, you create a life that feels aligned and meaningful. You move through challenges with more confidence. You honor your own unique path. So today, start tuning and ask yourself what your intuition is telling you. Practice trusting it, even in small ways, and watch how your life begins to feel more like yours. Chapter 16. Moving forward without fear. Fear is one of the strongest forces in life. It can stop you from taking steps toward what you want. It can keep you stuck in familiar patterns that no longer serve you. It can whisper lies that tell you you are not ready or not worthy. But fear is not the enemy. It is a signal, a messenger telling you that something important is happening, that you are on the edge of growth, that you are about to step into the unknown. Moving forward without fear does not mean you stop feeling afraid. It means you decide that fear will not control your choices. It means you act even when your heart is racing and your mind is doubtful. Courage is not the absence of fear, it is the willingness to move through fear, to trust yourself even when the path is unclear, to keep going even when the outcome is uncertain. You have survived every fear you have faced so far. You are stronger than you realize, and every small step forward builds your confidence. Every challenge you overcome adds to your strength. It is okay to feel scared, it is okay to feel unsure, but do not let those feelings stop you from living the life you want. Remember, fear is temporary, regret can last a lifetime. So choose to move forward, choose to trust yourself, choose to live boldly on your own terms. Your life is waiting, your rules are waiting, and your courage is already inside you. Chapter 17, Finding Strength in Vulnerability. Vulnerability is often misunderstood. Many see it as weakness or risk, something to hide or protect against, but vulnerability is actually one of the greatest sources of strength. To be vulnerable means to show up as you are, to be honest about your feelings and fears, to open your heart even when there is a chance of pain or rejection. It takes courage to be real in a world that often rewards masks. When you allow yourself to be vulnerable, you build deeper connections with others, you create space for understanding and empathy, you free yourself from the burden of pretending to be perfect or invincible. Vulnerability is the path to healing. It is how you let others see your true self. It is how you begin to accept and love yourself fully. Being vulnerable does not mean you are powerless, it means you are brave enough to face your own truth. It means you trust yourself and others enough to be open. You might fear judgment or disappointment, but remember that hiding your true self costs you more than risk ever will. The people who truly belong in your life will accept you as you are, and even those who don't cannot dim your light unless you let them. So practice courage by practicing vulnerability. Share your thoughts and feelings in safe spaces. Ask for help when you need it. Say no when something does not feel right, and give yourself permission to be seen fully. Strength and vulnerability are not opposites, they are partners on the path to living your life your way. Chapter 18, Your Life, Your Rules, Now and Always. You have traveled far in this journey. You have uncovered truths about yourself. You have faced fears and learned to trust your voice. You have begun to live with intention and courage. Remember this: your life belongs to you, not to anyone else's expectations or judgments, not to old stories or limiting beliefs, not to the noise that tries to pull you off course. Living your life your way is a daily choice. It is a practice of showing up for yourself again and again. It is saying yes to what feels right and no to what does not. It is embracing your imperfections and your strengths. It is honoring your needs and your dreams. There will be challenges ahead, times when you doubt or stumble, times when others may not understand, but your commitment to yourself will keep you steady. Your own rules will guide you back home. You are worthy of a life that feels true, a life that brings you peace, joy, and freedom, a life where you can be fully yourself without apology. So carry these words with you, not as rules to follow but as reminders to return to. You are in charge of your story. You are the author of your life, and you get to decide how it unfolds. Your life, your rules, now and always. If you enjoy calm, thoughtful content like this, I'd love for you to join us. Subscribe to Understand Books for more life-changing ideas and peaceful inspiration, delivered in a voice made to help you relax and reflect. Subscribe to Understand Books for more life wisdom, emotional clarity, and peaceful motivation, one chapter at a time.